Okay, so we all pretty much know this story, right? Adam and Eve, a garden, that snake, and a very famous piece of fruit. It's one of the bedrock stories of Western civilization. But what if I told you that story, the one you think is the beginning, is actually the sequel? Yeah, let's get into it.
You see, right at the very start of the Bible, in Genesis, you don't just get one story of creation, you get two, and they are incredibly different from each other. Now, this isn't some ancient typo. It's a deliberate, fascinating puzzle that practically begs us to look closer, to understand how this amazing text was pieced together, and what it's really trying to tell us about God, the world, and us.
And when you put them side by side like this, whoa, the differences really pop. In Genesis 1, God is this majestic cosmic force called Elohim who just speaks things into existence. And humans, male and female, are created together at the very end, like the grand finale. But then, you flip the page to chapter 2, and everything changes. God is now Yahweh Elohim, a name that's way more personal. He's down in the dirt, literally sculpting the first man before the plants and animals. Then, he makes woman from the man's side. It's not just a different story, it's a different vibe, a different order, a different God. It's a fantastic contradiction.
So what in the world is going on here? How are we supposed to make sense of this? Well, the first thing to get is that we're looking through two completely different camera lenses. We're going from this epic, wide-angle shot of the universe to a really intimate, personal close-up.
And that's the heart of it, right there. Genesis 1 is the cosmic story. It's all about the creation of the heavens and the earth, this grand, orderly seven-day symphony. But then Genesis 2 zooms way, way in. The camera moves from the stars down to a single garden. The story stops being about the whole universe and starts being about one human being.
Okay, so to really understand why these two accounts are sitting right next to each other, we have to put on our detective hats. The answer, the key to the whole mystery, is hidden in the origins of the text itself. It's time to crack the Bible's source code.
Now, our main tool for this investigation is something called the documentary hypothesis. And I know that sounds super academic and maybe a little dry, but trust me, think of it less like a textbook theory and more like biblical CSI. It's the idea that Genesis wasn't written by just one person, but is actually this masterpiece woven together from at least 4 much older separate documents, each with its own unique voice.
And right here in Genesis, we meet 2 of these authors immediately. Genesis 1, with its formal, structured, cosmic vibe, that comes from a source scholars call P for priestly. The God here is majestic, distant, named Elohim. But Genesis 2? That's from the J source, for Yahwist or Jahwist in German, where the theory started. This author is a natural-born storyteller. Their God is personal, hands-on, walks in the garden, and is called Yahweh Elohim. 2 totally different styles.
So here's the brilliant part. An ancient editor, or what scholars call a redactor, took these 2 powerful, beloved, but very different stories. And instead of picking one and tossing the other, they did something amazing. They basically used a scissors and paste method to place them back to back, preserving both traditions to give us a richer, more complex picture of who God is and who we are.
All right, so that's the how we got these 2 stories, but let's dig into the what. What is this second story, this incredible J source actually saying? What's the deep meaning packed into this very intimate story of our beginnings?
I mean, you can just feel the earthiness of this story. The first human, Adam in Hebrew, is sculpted from the Adamah, which means the ground, the soil. You hear it, right? Adam from the Adamah, human from the humus. It's this beautiful poetry connecting us to the planet. But this clay figure is just a shell until God gets up close and personal, performing this kind of divine CPR, breathing his own life into it. It's just an incredibly intimate image.
And what's this new human's first job description? They're put in the garden to till it and keep it. But the original Hebrew words here, they are so much deeper. The word for till is abad. It can also mean to serve or even to worship. And the word for keep is shamar, which also means to guard and to preserve. So this isn't a license to dominate creation. It's the original job of environmental stewardship. It's a call to be a partner with the earth. But then, in the middle of this perfect world, we hit the first speed bump. For the very first time, God says something is not good. And what's the problem? Solitude. The man is alone. This is a huge statement, telling us right from the start that we are fundamentally wired for connection, for community. So to solve this problem, God says he's going to make an ezer kenegdo. Now, this phrase has often been translated as helper, which, let's be honest, can sound a little like assistant. But the original Hebrew is so much more powerful. Ezer isn't a passive word. It means a vital strength, a rescuer. And kenegdo means corresponding to, face, or equal to. This isn't about finding a subordinate. It's about creating an equal, powerful partner.
And look, this is what really drives that point home. That word, ezer, shows up 21 times in the Old Testament. And get this, a staggering 16 of those times, it's used to describe God as the powerful helper and rescuer of Israel. So when the Bible uses that exact same powerful word to describe the first woman, it's making a massive statement. This is a position of incredible strength and essential partnership. Now, what's so wild is that this story, which feels so mythic and poetic, is also anchored to a specific physical place. So let's shift gears from theology to geography and join one of the oldest treasure hunts in history, the search for the Garden of Eden.
I mean, seriously, where was it? This question has fascinated people for thousands of years, and the Bible gives these tantalizingly specific clues. It talks about a place where 4 rivers come together. So, where on earth could that be?
All right, so here are the clues. The text names 4 rivers, the Pishon, Gihon, Tigris, and Euphrates. Now the last 2, we know them well. The Tigris and Euphrates flow through modern-day Iraq. That's our starting point. But the first 2, the Pishon and Gihon, well, they're a total mystery. People have guessed they're everywhere from Ethiopia to India, but nobody knows for sure.
But check this out. There's a really cool modern theory. An archaeologist named Juris Sarens used satellite imagery and geological data to propose that the spot where these 4 rivers would have met is now deep underwater. He argues that at the end of the last ice age, melting glaciers caused sea levels to rise and flood what was once a fertile valley, which is now the northern part of the Persian Gulf. Just think about that. Paradise might literally be a lost world, submerged beneath the waves.
So in the end, whether Eden was a real place we could find on a map or a powerful symbolic landscape, the story that takes place there, man, it has sent echoes down through the centuries. It has shaped how we think about our work, our planet, our relationships, and our ultimate purpose.
So, if we boil it all down, what are the huge, lasting ideas Genesis 2 gives us? Well, first, there's this profound idea that rest isn't lazy, it's sacred. Then it hands us our core job description, to serve and protect the earth. It establishes that partnership isn't about hierarchy, but about equal and complementary strength. And finally, it gives us this beautiful blueprint for marriage, a deep union of leaving, cleaving, and becoming one flesh.
Which leaves us with one last big question. Is Genesis 2 just an ancient story about where we came from, or is it a timeless blueprint for how we're meant to live, right here, right now? And maybe, just maybe, its incredible enduring power comes from the fact that it's not one or the other. It's both. A profound story about our beginnings that never stops showing us a vision for our future.